from the Netherlands and I've basically lived there my whole life up until a few months ago. But these Americans that I'm going to be reacting to have not. And we're going to look at some things that they found surprising about Dutch houses. So let's go ahead and find out what those things are. Oh, yeah, and I am muting some videos because they use copyright songs. So we're just gonna look at them and I'll just say them out loud. So let's play this one back. Things that make sense in my Dutch household. No curtains, because lekker gezellig. Yeah, I feel like we mostly do have curtains. We might have the kind of more see-through curtains in front of the window. No curtains kind of, it seems a little uncomfortable to me. I know, like Dutch culture, we like to look in houses sometimes. I don't know, this kind of looks like the back of the house, so I guess you can necessarily look into it that well. But still, I want to have curtains. I want to be able to close it off. I think most people at night, most Dutch people, you definitely close your windows or your curtains, I mean. So I don't know if that's necessarily Dutch. Small toilet sink, because why wash your hands? Fingertips are enough. I do use them, but then some people don't and just wash their hands in the kitchen. So I don't know why they're that small, but you don't really need that much more, I guess. You can kind of just put your whole hands in there still. But it would be more comfortable if they made it a little bit bigger. Extra fridge, because standard one can only store ice cubes. Yeah, that's one thing about the Netherlands. Our fridges aren't that big, and then the freezer section is definitely not that big usually. We got an American fridge for that reason, because it just holds so many more things. You can stock up more, and then you have a whole section for the freezer. I know a lot of people in the Netherlands also just have a separate like freezer. They bought an extra freezer just to put their beer in or stuff like that, because the freezer section is just not big enough in the normal fridge. Okay, elevator floors and numbers, because structured country. Yeah, I guess so. Never really lived in an apartment in the Netherlands, but I do think my friend, when she lives in an apartment, there were these numbers, which, yeah, is convenient, especially maybe if you're a postman and you need to bring it to the door, or I don't know if they could come down the people, but we do like structure. So next video is also muted, so I'll do the same thing. Things in a Dutch house that make sense or not. Very steep stairs. Actually, those don't look... Oh, let's go back. They're not the most steep stairs that I've personally seen. There's even steeper ones. I don't know why they're so steep, but these aren't that bad. Reverse toilet? What does he mean by reversed? I guess that we have the like poop shelf thing. If you've seen my video from I think last week, then you know we've discussed the poop shelf. Which I didn't know that was a thing, that we have it for that reason, to check on your whatever comes out. But yes, in the US they have a more free fall landing, if you will, and we have a more a shelf, and then a little bit of water there. In the US, there's more water in the thing, which I found surprising when I first got there because I thought I did something wrong, but it's just like that. A lot of bikes in the garage. Yeah. Now, the garages usually aren't that big either, but we do put a lot of bikes in them. We made I want to pause it anyways. We made, what do you call it in English? Like a shed to extend kind of the garage space into the backyard because there wasn't just enough space. But we do like to put our bikes in there. So huge windows, everyone can look inside. Yeah, we might leave the curtains open. You could also choose to close them, of course. Especially at night, we'll just close them, most people. And during the day, you might have those sheer ones so that you can still see a little bit of what's outside, but you can't really tell what's, really going on in there.
House is literally the definition of Dutch people. You have this giant property and you have a tiny ass little house and also very small affordable cars. This is very different than how I grew up, where you use all the land you have and have a massive house instead of a small one.
I wouldn't necessarily call this typical Dutch because a typical Dutch house is like what is it called in English? A townhouse? Rijtjeshuis, where the houses are connected. I would say that's more typical Dutch. But if she means that we have smaller houses or are okay with not flaunting off as much, then I'd say yeah, I agree. But houses are just also more expensive. We also usually don't have this much land. So like this might also be more of a thing up north or more in the south. The last video, which I'm also muting because it also had music. So being 5 feet in the Netherlands, be like, okay, she's using the stepping stool. I can relate because I'm 5'2", so I'm 159. I guess that kind of translates to 5'2". When I looked it up, at least it said that. So I definitely do need to use something as well to reach those top shelves. What I would usually do is I would climb on the counter. So I kind of hold onto the faucet a little bit and just push myself up, and then I would get on, like put my knees on the counter and just grab it like that. For some reason that seems convenient to me. I don't know. It's always been like that since I was little. I did that and it never really left me. It still works, so that's what I do. But I wonder, because when I think about when I was in the US and here in Asia even, the counters or the shelves are still high. So I also wouldn't say this is necessarily a Dutch thing. Let me know if you have other thoughts about that though. But in my experience, I had to use a stepping stool or get on the counter everywhere that I've been. So I don't know if you might have other thoughts about that, then let me know. And that also concludes this video about Dutch homes. It was kind of a muted video. I hope you still enjoyed it, and I hope to know your thoughts about these things in the comments below.